We live so much of our lives online, right? We're constantly sharing everything, from where we are to what we're eating to our deepest thoughts. But in this endless stream of data, have you ever stopped to wonder, how much of our privacy are we actually giving away? And what does that right to privacy even mean anymore? Let's get into it.
Good holy! Welcome to our lecture on technology's impact on privacy. Today, we're going to unpack how our digital world is constantly testing and, honestly, reshaping one of our most fundamental rights.
I mean, it's no secret that technology is woven into the very fabric of our lives. Just think about it. We see tiny toddlers who can navigate a laptop like it's second nature. And on the other end, we have our seniors who are using Facebook to organize reunions and reconnect with old friends. It's so integrated that if an employee forgets their phone, they'll literally feel the need to drive all the way back home just to get it.
But this deep connection really is a classic double-edged sword. On one side, you have these incredible benefits, the sheer convenience of it all, the efficiency, the connections we make. But the other side, well, that edge is sharp. It opens us up to all kinds of new dangers, from stalkers who can use our own posts against us, to huge companies mining our data, and of course, the ever-present threat of identity theft.
Now, to really get a grip on this conflict between convenience and privacy, there is no better example than the long debate over a national ID system. This one issue really brings the whole argument into sharp focus.
So what's really at stake here? Is a single national ID system a much-needed tool for security and making things run smoothly? Or is it a step too far, a massive threat to our personal privacy?
Let's look at both sides of the coin. The people who are for it say a national ID would make it way easier to track criminals, it would streamline government transactions, like getting a passport, and it could even help prevent election fraud. The opposition's argument, though, is simple and incredibly powerful. They believe it violates our fundamental right to be left alone, our right to privacy.
And believe me, this isn't a new debate. Way back in 1996, President Fidel Ramos issued something called Administrative Order 308. Its goal was to create a national computerized identification reference system. But almost right away, in January of '97, Senator Blas Opel filed a petition against it, and that set the stage for a huge Supreme Court decision in 1998.
So why did the Supreme Court say no? Well, it came down to three crucial reasons. First, they said the president had basically created a law all by himself, and that's a power that belongs only to Congress. Second, the order was just way too vague. It didn't spell out who could access all this data, why they could access it, or what they could do with it. And finally, and this is the big one, there were absolutely zero safeguards to protect that information from being leaked or misused.
You see, this case wasn't just about an ID system. It was a battle over the constitutional right to privacy itself. So let's take a step back and look at what that right actually is and where our laws draw the line.
At its very core, the legal definition of privacy is actually beautifully simple. It's the right of a person to be left alone. That's it. It's the right to have a space, whether that's a physical space or a digital one, that is truly your own.
There's this powerful old saying that illustrates this perfectly. An Englishman's home is his castle. The whole idea is that even the most humble home is a sanctuary that not even the highest authority, not even the king, can just walk into without permission. That is the very spirit of the right to privacy.
But, and this is a really important but, that right is not absolute. The law recognizes that there are very specific situations where your right to privacy has to take a backseat to other important public interests.
And it's not a free-for-all. The line is drawn very clearly. Our Constitution spells out exactly 3 key exceptions to this rule. Just 3.
So what are they? First, with a lawful court order. Think of a search warrant from a judge who has a really good reason, what the law calls probable cause, to believe a crime has happened. Second, for public safety and order. A perfect real-world example is the security check at an LRT station, right? You give up a little bit of privacy for the safety of everyone on that train. And third, when a specific law demands it, like the anti-money laundering laws that make banks report huge, suspicious transactions.
Okay, so those are the long-standing principles. But how do they hold up against the challenges we face online every single day? Let's talk about protecting your digital self. One of the biggest threats out there today is identity theft. This is when someone deliberately takes and uses your personal information, your name, your numbers, your accounts, without your permission, almost always to make money at your expense.
And a really common weapon they use for this is phishing. This is when you get an email or a message that looks totally legit, like it's from your bank or a company you use, but it's actually a clever trick to get you to hand over your sensitive info, like passwords or credit card details.
Now, to fight these modern threats, we have a modern shield, the Data Privacy Act of 2012. And this isn't just some abstract policy. It gives you real, actual rights. It means companies can't just collect your data for no reason, and you have the right to know what info they have on you and to fix it if it's wrong. It's our legal tool to hold them accountable.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. Laws like the Data Privacy Act give us a shield, for sure, but technology is always evolving, always finding new ways to push the boundaries. As one source put it, the only privacy that's left is inside of your head. And that leaves all of us with a really critical question to think about. In this world of constant connection and data collection, where do you personally draw your line in the sand?